Hi guys, welcome to Full Time Devils. I'm Adam McKola. This is the Manchester United season review 2017-18, and today I am joined by a couple of legends. We've got Jamie Jackson from The Guardian. We've got Jay Marty from Red Army Bet. We've got Stephen Howson. You've seen him all over the place. He's getting clipped up, going viral, doing all sorts of things.
Thanks, mate.
Make sure you check him out. And I am Adam from Full Time Devils, as you already know. We're here to talk all about the season that we've just seen. United finished second. No trophies this year. Me and producer Chris earlier were watching the one back from last season where yourself, Sam and Jamie were talking about stuff for last season, and it's a shame we got no trophies to talk about.
Can't we just put that video out again and pretend?
We probably could, because the list that you gave for players leaving was very interesting. Now, I'll tell you about that later when we talk about transfers.
Oh dear.
But first things first, we're going to talk about Jose Mourinho and Jose Mourinho FC. Now, it's the second season for Jose Mourinho, and what I want to ask you guys is, do you think this team is now something that resembles a Jose Mourinho side? And given your expectations at the start of the season, have they been met? Now, we'll get a fan's voice first. Jay, what are your thoughts on, let's say, is this team a Jose Mourinho team now?
I don't think it is yet. I think it's getting there. I think the thing with Jose Mourinho teams, you always associate them with a solid defence. I do anyway. You look back at his famous Chelsea teams, even going back to Porto, Real Madrid, he always had a solid back four at least. And I don't think we've got that in a minute. I think he's inherited the team that he's got. He's brought in some signings, but I don't think he's got it quite right with his defensive signings. Now, I quite like Eric Bailly, and I don't know what's going on there. I think he deserves to start. I was pretty shocked that he dropped him after the Liverpool game and subsequently, because I thought he played well in the Liverpool game despite his own goal. I thought he was back, he looked fit, and I thought he could be the player that sort of, carries us to the end of the season, but whatever went on there went on. Lindelof hasn't really happened for him, and we all know about the fullbacks. We've got two wingers from 2011 who were playing as our fullbacks, both the wrong side of 30, not really fullbacks, and they weren't fullbacks 7 or 8 years ago, so they're certainly not going to be able to do the job now. So no, in answer to your question, I don't think it is a Jose Mourinho side. I think if we buy two fullbacks, I think then it will resemble the sort of team Jose Mourinho wants.
Do you agree with that? And if you do you think this team is less of a Jose Mourinho side now than it was this time last season?
That's an interesting point. I don't. It took me a long time to overthink about this time last season and that, but I'd say if you look at the FA Cup final, there was only 3 Jose Mourinho signings in that starting 11 after 2 years of him being here, and he's signed a lot more players than that. Some of them haven't worked out. Some of them, like Jay saying there about Eric Bailly being absolutely inexplicable. I think we've played 12 games with Bailly this season. We've won 11 and had 8 clean sheets. And then without him, obviously, it's everything else. Eric Bailly is the best defender in that team, and I'll argue with anybody otherwise that it's not him. And I think towards the end of the season, Lindelof was showing that he had a real defender in him as well, and he was showing some stuff on the ball. And I think if you could have got Lindelof and Bailly playing regular, you could have had a good base to go forward, because I think that we're slow moving out of midfield because we don't trust the defence. And I think we don't attack as freely as we could have done because we don't trust the defence. And Jay's nailed it, man. Last season, City was pretty ordinary. Where they finished, it was a pretty ordinary season. He spends some serious dough on a couple of fullbacks. One didn't quite work out with him because of injuries, but he got the sort of player he wanted on one side and Kyle Walker on the other side, and it transformed that team into the team we see now. Last season they held possession around the back four, and it was boring, man. The way United have been called boring this season, but you give someone who's got the licence to go forward with freedom, someone who's got the ability. I mean, if you had a quid for how many times Valencia had gone down the wing and put a 45-degree pass backwards inside, you'd be a millionaire by now, this time of the season.
I'll be able to buy us a new fullback.
Amen, brother. And I think that's the fundamental issue, is that you've got, on one side, you've got a very solid player in a defensive sense in terms of Valencia, but going forward, which is mad considering he used to be a winger, he offers nothing, less than nothing going forward. And on the other side, you've got Ashley Young, who is, I think he slows the play down. You can point to some stats to me and you can show me a couple of assists that he's got. Typically, it's an assist to the back post that Fellaini gets on the end of, which is just like the axis of evil in this club. It's the wrong way to play football with the side that we've got. But Ashley Young is a massive problem for us. He has a very good game, admittedly, against Mo Salah, and people now think that deserves him to play, but he's not direct. He fannies around on the ball too much, he cuts inside, and that affects people's runs ahead of him. If you've got someone that can get to the byline and bang a cross in, someone who runs at him, look what Tony Marshall did when he came on. Just someone doing that, overlapping that wide player, and you've got problems in the final third. we're very good defensively because we've got the best goalkeeper in the world and the system is set up for us to be good defensively, but we just lack a little bit of oomph in that final third. And Jay's right, man, we could get that, as mad as it sounds, we could get it from fullbacks. So you've got fullbacks getting into good areas, they're taking defenders away from the forwards that are a little bit cramped and a little bit overrun, and I think you'll see a huge difference if we get the right fullbacks. So it's not quite a Jose Mourinho team yet. We're not getting all his players in there.
Bring it to you now, Jamie. First, before I do, it's interesting because I asked both of these guys, is this a Jose Mourinho team? Yet they focused solely kind of on the defence and the fullback areas. Yeah. When we've failed to score enough goals, do you think that the defence is part of that problem in the attack? Do you think this resembles a Jose team? And
I kind of think it does because he always plays quite carefully. It's an interesting point. At Wembley on Saturday, I actually looked out for this. Valencia made one break behind them. You know, when he went, what you're saying he doesn't do, and you're correct. Suddenly Chelsea looked, we've got a problem here. And it's like it stood out because it was the only time he did it. So I think that's certainly what he thinks. I think his view is he's done really well to get them second with the bunch of average players he has. Within there's some good players there. But that's his view. I'm not saying I agree with that, but that is his view. Look at what I've done at 81 points. Best finish since 2013. 19 behind an amazing City team. I think he will go for full-backs, but then after that he hasn't really got any excuse. I mean, there are other areas of the team that need strengthening. He's going to need at least one midfielder, because Carrot's gone and Fellaini may well do anyway. And I don't really count him as a midfielder. I know he plays there, but so he's got to do that. But I think it is a Mourinho team. You look at that Real Madrid side he had with Ronaldo that won the title with 100 points, May 2012, he won it. That was a counter-attacking team, a really good one, but that's with one of the best players ever lived, in his pomp, but it's still a counter-attacking side. So I think what you're seeing now is a Mourinho side, but I know what you mean. It's not how he would want it, but he's got this. For me, he's got this summer, and he's got to get it right. But it's also down to Woodward, and it's also down. I think, and I always make this point. People don't always agree. I think it's very difficult to get, because I think he needs five proper players, and you can look at City, and they probably got about that last summer, but it doesn't always work. And Guardiola was building last summer and what he'd done the year before. I know, as you say, it was a bit average. They got knocked out to Monaco, Champions League. But what I'm trying to say is, if he gets 5 or 6 players in, how easy is that to integrate?
How easy is it to get 5 or 6 top draw
players? Exactly. Before you even have to. That's basically
because it wasn't real. Apart from Kyle Walker, I don't think it was new signings that carried City over the line.
You got the keeper. Edison did a big job.
Yeah, that was a big improvement on.
But I mean, the manager managed to trigger something in Sane, Sterling, etc.
Yes.
And we haven't been able to see that from a Jose Mourinho side. Do you think it's because of, like we saw in the FA Cup final, we had Valencia, Smalling, Jones and Young. I mentioned after that game, I never want to see those 4 back together again, ever. And I think if we look at the team, do you think it's that defence being so bad individually is making him tighten up and not go for it as much going forward? Like, why are United not scoring enough goals at the moment?
It's a puzzle.
Because I've seen Chelsea teams and Jose teams play better attacking football.
No, you're definitely right. The first Chelsea side, but it is a long time ago. The very first one, the Robin and Duff one, because I think Duff might have left, or that was really, really good. I was down in London there. I saw a lot of them at the time, but I don't know. You look at Pogba. What's happened to him? You tell me. Is he an average footballer? Or is Mourinho stroke United making him look average? Because that FA Cup final was a joke of a performance for a guy who's 90 million.
I think Sanchez wasn't the wrong signing, but his signing undoubtedly negatively affected the season. And I think it negatively affected the season because at the time, Rashford and Marshall had a thing going on. One started, the other come on and scored. Yeah. And it was a mad little thing that they had going. They had good performances and they knew they'd get a certain amount of game time. And
the treatment of them was pretty fair at the time.
Yeah,
as well.
I think everyone was pretty happy with how they was getting treated. Because they're both very similar, they're very wide forwards, they're very forwards, and they stay out of Paul Pogba's lane. And Paul Pogba's got licence to go and do what he wants in that area of the pitch. If you look at the average touch map since we signed Sanchez, there's only been 2 matches where they've stayed out of each other's way. And I can't remember what one was. One was the derby.
Right.
And when they work together...
Well, Pogba and Sanchez
semi-final Spurs.
Yeah, when they've stayed out...
Spurs,
there you go. Yeah. Right, so when they've done that and they've actually linked up in those games, when they've done that, United have been very good going forward, and we've unlocked some top teams when we've done that. But when they're in each other's pocket, well, I can't remember.
Is that
who
a
said it.
management thing? Is that Mourinho not doing Joe telling
Possibly.
him to?
I saw something on Twitter that actually made a lot of sense, and it was almost like
Really?
On
yeah,
Twitter?
It was amazing. There was this one thing
Must
that
be
stood
one
out.
of my tweets.
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah, I think I might have nicked it. But it said about we talk about Mourinho being this like disciplinarian, and everyone's drilled, and you stand there and you go there, and no one deviates. But I think up front, it's almost the opposite. It seems at times where it's just every man for himself. There doesn't seem to be any cohesion. Doesn't seem to be any. You'll see players dropping deep, drifting wide, getting in each other's way, almost both going for the same position.
But isn't that worrying then? Because
it seems
surely
he just sort of says, right, off you go, do what you want.
But isn't that something the coach should be working on?
I think what he does
Definitely.
is he sets the team up and goes, here's the threats that this team is going to offer us, and here's what we're going to do about them. And I don't think he goes, and here's how we beat them. I don't think he goes, and this is their weakness in defence. I think he looks at their strengths and what we do to combat them first. I think that's just his nature. Okay. And I don't think you're going to change that. And I'm hoping that's where the likes of McKenna, this geezer from Italy, and Michael Carrick have a little bit of a say in what happens at that end of the pitch, because that's where they're all struggling.
I'd argue no one's changing Mourinho. Before we move on to that, just a quick answer before we go on to the season in depth as well. Have your expectations from the start of the season been met?
No.
Have yours?
In a way, they have. I think
In the league,
I didn't think we'd win the league, and we haven't, obviously. And I think
That's obvious.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Look at these faces.
I don't mean a bit of bearer of bad news, but we've not won it. We've not won it by a bit as well. Sorry to tell you guys that. So I think if someone had said to me, "You're going to finish second," and you think, "Oh, that's great." It's just the nature of it, because City have kicked on so much. It's sort of like all bets are off. No one thought they were going. I didn't think they were going to get 100 points, and I thought we'd push them a little bit further than we did. But I think second, there's been a bit of progress there, and everyone's rapping about Tottenham and Liverpool. And I know Liverpool obviously have got something else going on that we won't go into. But if you look at their league performance, it's not anywhere near United, and this is a United side where we've dropped silly games, silly points. Huddersfield, Newcastle, Brighton, West Ham. I could go on.
Is that 3 where we had Leicester, Burnley, Southampton?
Yes, we wouldn't have caught City. I don't think that would have happened, but it would have been a lot more competitive than it was. And what
Imagine being second if we'd had 90 points.
That's what I mean. That could have happened, and the one thing that sort of gives me a little bit of hope with this United side is we're capable of beating the best teams. We're capable of beating Liverpool. We're capable of beating City. We're capable of beating Chelsea.
Well, we beat everybody.
We beat Spurs. We can do it. It's not a case of we haven't got it in us. It's just a case of too often against the lesser teams, we've taken our eye off the ball. Against teams away from home, we've gone too defensive, and it's been too much of a shutting up shot when we should be going for it a lot more. So I do have a lot of hope for next season, and I think we've sort of finished round about where I expected us to.
Jamie, do you think we met expectations?
Yeah, I think seconds. Do you
think the board would be happy with Jose?
Yeah, because what I think, my reading of it is the board agree with him that he's got too many duff players there. Whether you think that's correct, whether you think that's true, and
the problem they are most of his favourites.
Well, when you talk about transfers, I mean, the only one that seems to have worked for him that he's happy with is Matic, because he's fallen out with Pogba. Mkhitaryan's been and gone. Lindelof never gets inside.
Lukaku's worked, Jamie. You can't say Lukaku's.
Okay, yeah, Lukaku's.
But then after their cup final, come out and tried to kill him.
That was good. Yeah, exactly.
That's a bit strong.
So even that's gone wrong. But so he has had his signings, but I think the board agree. It's interesting what you say there, because if they got 90 points, I don't think you could moan really. You might be able to moan about the brand of football, but 90 points to come second, I'll live on there. So I think 81 points, second's okay, but just the way you play. It's the way you play, I think,
that's
is the problem.
Big problem. Moving into the season now, the second part of the season review.
Oh, leave it.
Should we just leave it there?
Just leave it, yeah.
You ready? Pack up, lad. Suppose you have to produce Chris panicking over there. We'll have a look at pre-season a little bit. Now in pre-season, I remember there being like a lot of positivity. I could see us getting our signings done quite quickly. A lot of them, Lindelof, Matic, etc. And then we got Lukaku signed up. Jose wanted a fourth that he never got in the summer. And do you think he was happy with the way the summer went? Were you happy with the way the summer went?
No, I think we knew that
we lost Rooney. We lost
playing.
We
was trying to gear up to play 3-5-2 because we played it a lot during pre-season, and then the window shut and we went back to 4 at the back. And I think that was because he didn't get that fourth signing. But he says he's a fourth, but we was very clearly in for Griezmann, and we was very clearly in for Perisic, and there was also talk of other players being in there as well. So I don't know if he was just using the fourth as the next one rather than it was 4 I wanted and I only got 3. I think it was actually probably in for 5. I don't know.
I think we're definitely in for Perisic, and I think he alluded to that, didn't he, in some of his press conferences. When people were asking him early in the season, you mentioned Martial and Rashford having a good start to the season, and someone sort of said, do you think that's because we were linked with a left winger or a player that was going to play in that position anymore? I said, yeah, that might be a factor that has, he more or less admitted that we were going for a left wing that everyone thought was Perisic. So in terms of pre-season, I don't think you can have too much to grumble about when you've got areas sort of that you needed to. You identify them areas and you get the players. It wasn't like he said, I want 2 fullbacks, and we didn't get them. It was, he did
kind of sense that we didn't have the kind of money City had to get fullbacks. Like
that was later in the season, though, wasn't it?
I think he was just having more slide.
I think that was more the fact that they'd bought and replaced, and like we said, he's still playing with 8 signings that aren't his when someone else is.
But the fullback.
Well, the signings he bought, have they? Even if we look at the signings that he bought beforehand, Bailly, for example, has now dropped out of the team.
He's a really good player, though, Bailly, I think. I don't understand that at all.
I have no idea what's happened.
That excuse about I played the guys who got at the World Cup. Rashford wasn't in that side, for example.
That's a load of garbage, and he couldn't care less about international football than most United fans. It's just the idea that he's sort of thinking, Jones is going to go to the World Cup, so I'm going to keep playing him.
So can you trust him to spend more money than if he's buying people like Bailly?
If you look what his signings are, Zlatan was the major signing in his first season. Pogba was a major signing in his first season. Who else we get in his first season? Mickey and Bailly. Was that all first season? So Mkhitaryan, they ended up falling out, and he's been shipped on, and Sanchez has come in. Whether it's not a direct replacement, but it's clearly a replacement of sorts. Zlatan's had to have been replaced. I think you've replaced him successfully. Bailly's been pretty much a success. I think Pogba's been a success. He's been a good player. He's probably not lived up to what everyone expected from him, but he's still been a successful first-team regular player. This season, not really so much because of the issues that we've had with the other signings that we've got. Lindelof hasn't really played a lot. We said he was due.
I think Lindelof has improved.
Yeah, he has, and I really wanted him to be playing in the cup final. I really wanted him to be playing in those latter games. I thought he was excellent in those latter games, and he deserved the opportunity ahead of Smalling or Jones. I don't think his signings have been great, but I don't think they've been terrible either. I just think either he's choosing to not play them all, or they're not all playing, and I think that's the issue. Is that when I'm saying it's not his team, it still isn't his team. He's bought defenders, and for whatever reason, they're not playing.
We lost Rooney as well. Do you think that is his experience is a miss?
Nope.
No. Sorry,
moving on.
To elaborate, I think he did okay at Everton early on in the season, didn't he? He scored a few goals. Remember the goal at Etihad. But I don't even think Everton fans think he works out there. So if he's not good enough for Everton, he's certainly not good enough for Manchester United. I don't think the fact that he had experience necessarily means anything.
Bobby Charlton's got a lot of experience.
Exactly. I don't think that's what we were missing. I think we were missing probably a bit of consistency and energy in the team, and I don't think that is what Ray Rooney's been about for a little while now.
Jamie, on the tour, you were out there in America, and obviously around the Super Cup as well when we lost to Real Madrid. What was the feeling amongst behind the scenes at Manchester? Was it one of positivity going into the season? Did people believe we could win the league?
Yeah, he was in a good frame of mind. I remember speaking to someone at the club about it because we were sort of spending the whole of the tour wondering whether we're going to get what we call a sit down, with him, with like the rest of the national newspapers, and he was a happy bunny on tour from what we were told more than once. So I think there was optimism. I mean, the game, I know it was only a friendly, but obviously there was the derby in Houston. You won that. Edison looked like, because he had a howler, looked like he was going to be another Claudio Bravo. So there's stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, you started well, didn't you? You started the season well. We
had 6 wins, 1 draw.
Yeah, and there was loads of goals as well, wasn't there?
21 goals, 4
that's a cracking start, in any
3 wins from 3 in the Champions League.
So I go back to Pogba got injured, didn't he, in October, and I think it fell apart then because he got injured and it was for ages, and he wouldn't actually say exactly what it was. It's supposed to be a hamstring. He went on, kept on saying, ask the doctor. He was supposed to be in America.
Yeah,
do you remember all that?
Going away to
and then he came back, and I think he got sent off. So that then ruled him out for more free will games. For me, it was. I know it was only a little bit into the season, but it seemed to be before and after that for some reason. And
do you think Zlatan's re-signing affected Lukaku in any way as well? Because Lukaku's dip happened at that time.
Well, I thought Lukaku had done well though. I didn't understand the Ibrahimovic thing really.
It was a bit weird as well. Wasn't there a situation where Ibrahimovic came on and Lukaku was shifting out wide as well? I remember for one game. I can't remember what game it was.
We only played one.
We played twice. He came on as one. I think he started one.
He scored against Bristol as well.
Yeah, it did seem a little bit strange that to me to re-sign him when he obviously wasn't going to be able much longer and didn't really have a lot to offer.
You mentioned the Pogba injury. Something that's bringing in my mind from earlier in the season was the 0-0 at Liverpool.
Yeah.
The result wasn't bad, but I felt like the performance definitely turned some of the players. I kind of felt like we lost some of the players that game, lost some of the belief that they maybe had in them. Does anyone agree with me on that? Like that Liverpool game, do you think that was a turning point in terms of Jose's belief in this side? Because we had gone from scoring all those goals and keeping clean sheets, and then we went there and we just kind of...
I said it at the time, and I felt a bit sorry for Jose Mourinho on the back of that Liverpool game, because everyone sort of went at him for parking the bus and all the rest of it. I think we were a little bit unlucky as well, because Lukaku had a good chance, and how many times have we seen Fergie do that? Go to Liverpool, we have one chance, Tevez, O'Shea, you know, we get the smashing grand win, and that nearly happened. You know what I mean? Lukaku, and the form he was in at the time as well, should have buried that. And I think we kept Liverpool quiet. And people go on and on about us parking the bus. Klopp took off 2 attacking players, and he took off, I don't know, was it Coutinho and Salah, and then brought on Sturridge and someone else. So it wasn't like he went for it and then he was sort of moaning, oh, they
Jose said in his press conference, he goes, I was waiting for him to make the attacking substitution.
Yeah.
He goes, and then we was going to go.
Look what happened to City there in January, the league game, you know, when they lost. I mean, I know they got a couple of goals back, but they got battered basically. Conceded 3 goals in about, 18 minutes, and they obviously lost home and away the Champions League. So that was a good result. I think you're right. I think what happens with these managers, a bit like players, is Klopp's got a reputation for attacking, so he's given a little bit of leeway, but you know, you can't defend. And then you're pointing out a situation where he has parked the bus effectively at home, but that gets missed a bit. And I think Mourinho also suffers because Mourinho, he's been so good, he has got this pragmatic style, and he can come across as a little bit like...
The thing was as well, was that Klopp was in a bad run. I think Liverpool had won 1 out of the last 9. So a point for him was actually a bit of a good result, because if United had won there at Anfield, there would have been a lot of pressure on him there. So I don't think he was too fussed to actually get a point, although he'd never admit that. So he comes on the telly and he moans about Mourinho parking the bus and he should have had a penalty and all that other garbage. And people buy into it. And I didn't. I thought it was, it wasn't a performance where you
The onus is on the home team in these big
Exactly.
games. The onus is always on the home team. That's why if we beat the likes of Chelsea and we beat the likes of Liverpool at home, obviously, sweet result. If they got a draw there, that's a result for them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, of course it is.
I always thought
Matteo
that.
Darmian kept Salah quiet, do you know what I mean? Who saw that one coming the season that he's
The other
had,
thing
so.
you've got to remember is these managers like Mourinho, they can't say, what you're hearing in public is an absolute tip of an iceberg of what's really going on in the range.
I'm sure he walked out that press conference and just unloads.
Exactly. So
someone.
in that respect, you get a lot of value out of him because he will go a little bit further. Like he'll call out Lukaku if you want to call it that. Going about the fullbacks, look how much City. He'll actually go. But there must be all sorts he knows about, and he just can't say. So I do feel a little bit like he gets a bit of an overly hard press because he's Jose Mourinho, but at the same time, he doesn't help himself sometimes.
Now, around that time when we did draw against Liverpool after the amazing start, and it was kind of the first sign of the first time a lot of the criticism came around for Jose about his negative tactics. We were still going well in the Champions League, started off well, 3 wins out of 3, but then the whole negative vibe started to come. We lost against Huddersfield. The negative performances started coming in. We lost against Chelsea in November. Around that, because I always think every season you will have a performance and a result like Huddersfield.
Yeah.
But this season we
enough.
lost against every newly promoted team.
Plus West Brom, which was a shocker at home.
What went on then? I said,
not a lot, Adam.
I thought it was but this is why I asked you.
But this is what
I said about the Liverpool game.
He thinks a lot of them, or some of them, aren't mentally hard enough to be able to turn it on against that sort of side. So it's
But that's
easy,
why I asked
you know
about
what I
the
mean?
Liverpool game,
Maybe he's
because
got a
I
point.
felt
Yeah,
after
I
that
think he has.
Liverpool game, when his tactics weren't as we expected, although the result was okay, did some of the players kind of think, I don't want this? Because I saw a dip from there, personally. But
I don't know. I mean, I go back to the Huddersfield game. I think you might look at Desire a little bit there. They were obviously up for it a lot more, and I think there's a little bit of complacency because Huddersfield go ahead 1-0 up, whatever, and you think, oh, we can come back from this. Even to the point where they go 2 goals.
had a shocker.
Yeah, you think, oh, we'll be all right. We'll get, we'll bring Lukaku or someone will get us a goal. We'll get back in the game. And we left it's too little, too late. It's
Is it sometimes that he doesn't know the teams? Because some of these smaller teams, he knows what Salah's going to do.
He does his own work 100%. He actually said it. He's actually said it at least once this season. I know I'm not a player, but I know how to win against these lesser teams. He said something like that. Do you remember?
Yeah.
He said, but I'm not a player. And that, for me, if you're earning 100,000 or whatever average, a United player, you should be self-motivated. That's what you're getting paid for, to beat Huddersfield.
does
That
the
should be a
manager not
prerequisite.
have part of a
Of course he
responsibility?
does, but all he can do is go so far. And if that player then goes out and isn't able to do it more than once. I understand what you said. You can have one result like that, but it's like 3, 4, 5. That for me, what are you doing? You know, your great United teams were full of hard, players who just won. That's what I think's missing, and I think that's what he thinks.
I think some of those results have been a bit of I wouldn't say a fluke because that's not really fair, but it doesn't tell the full story. Of what's gone on in the game and things like that. You look at Newcastle, I think we could have put that game to bed easily. It just wasn't happening. By the time, you mentioned West Brom, the league's done, it's over.
Yeah,
you can't help
that,
sometimes. You're right, you're on 100k a week, you should be giving it your all. But there's that sort of feeling that any day now, City are going to lift that trophy, it. And, West Brom are fighting for their lives, and it's just like, sometimes it doesn't tell the full picture. At Huddersfield, there was a bit of sort of, something went on with Martial, didn't the first half, he spat his dummy out a little bit, and then you just think, okay, there's little things going on, so it doesn't tell the full story, but it isn't good enough. But like I said earlier on, I take solace from the fact that we're capable of beating the big teams, and that's what gives me hope.
Kind of a flip from last season.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
After that defeat against Chelsea, when Morata still had his red hair, bagged the winner. We lost to Basel in the Champions League again. We've had some. Basel always seem to get some good results, but we still went through in the Champions League, top of the group with 5 wins from 6. Then we beat Arsenal. Amazing day. Yeah. Amazing day for De Gea especially. But lost at home against City, which almost is where the City won the title.
I'm still having physio on my shoulder from when Rashford scored that goal. Which I'll throw that one in. Rashford scored consolation, didn't he?
Against City? Mm-hmm. See, I forgot about. I've wiped those games out of my
We attacked for about 45 seconds, scored a goal and was like...
Oh yeah, it was 2, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember now. Yeah.
I remember now, actually. Why do you think it is with... Because obviously we got beat by City and we beat them at their place. What is it, do you think it is with Jose and Pep, that battle? Like,
I think Pep's got his number, to be honest with you. To be brutally honest with you, I think Pep's just about got his number and he knows how to play against the Jose Mourinho side in a way that Jose knows how to play against a Jurgen Klopp side and Jurgen Klopp knows how to play a Pep Guardiola side. They've just... If they didn't have the ego and they could learn from some of the others and see what they did, they might have a bit more success. Obviously we won in the last derby, but I still think overall Pep wasn't asked in the grand scheme of things. You beat us, sweet, I'm picking up a trophy.
Those tactics in the derby at home, just the one time, not the one time, because there's been a lot of times on the Mourinho you've been a bit baffled, but I can never get my head around it because it just seems to be give the ball to Marcus Rojo and let him hoof it up and then repeat. And that was it, and it was just, there was no sort of plan.
I'm pretty sure you said this last season.
And it's just like...
Someone find me, I'm almost certain he said that exactly
well, this
last
is
season.
it, and he's going back to your point at me, maybe he has got his number, because it just didn't... I don't know what we were thinking, how we thought we were going to beat City with those tactics.
Are you
just
a bit
so
worried by the
frustrating.
tactics and that Jose doesn't seem to... Like, Fergie always had like a Carlos Queiroz or someone helping him develop.
Pep either, really. Pep had his number in them Champions League finals as well. We couldn't get past that.
No, I think that was more Messi than
though,
that was more Messi than anything. And in one of them, if Park takes his chance early on, let's not get started.
It shouldn't have even been in one of them finals anyway. Chelsea got robbed and we beat Chelsea.
Disgrace!
Arsenal should have beaten the new camp. Do you not remember? Nicholas Bentner, last minute. Anyway, sorry. Yeah.
I remember I was watching Iniesta's final game and I was like, everyone's clapping him, but I just hate him because of them 2 finals.
Darren Fletcher got sent off.
Jay, let it go.
Yeah, right, sorry.
Our League Cup defence ended against Bristol.
Oh, just...
Hey, you want the wind up here or what?
I'm just reading out the results. I can only work with what Jose gives me.
Started off so well this show.
Let's talk about the 94 team. That was top.
That was a good team, wasn't proper good team. After that Bristol City defeat, we dropped 6 points in 3 draws. Leicester against 10 men. Do you remember that?
Trying to block all this out, mate.
Now, what I remember thinking after that Leicester game was, I never want to see Chris Smalling play again. And then he's gone on and played every single game.
I don't know, it's a bit harsh to blame Chris Smalling for that, I think, I'm not being funny, we like Marcus Rashford is, sacred, and I love Marcus Rashford, but come on, it's the 97th minute or whatever. You've got the ball, just run it into the corner. City did it against us for 10 minutes in the corner. Do you know what I mean? It's simple that.
We were defending against 10 men and they had a spare man on the back post.
He gives it away.
How did 10 men get a spare man?
Because he was injured. Someone was injured.
Can you tell me that?
Do you know what I mean? We were playing with 10. Yeah. It was
How did 10 men get a spare man?
I don't know.
I'm trying to block it out. Stop asking me questions.
Jamie, can you answer that one? How did 10 men get a spare man on the back post?
Harry Maguire is world class. No one can cope with him when he's on fire.
January came. Mkhitaryan left. Sanchez arrives. Loans for Demi Mitchell, who had a very good loan move until his injury. Twanzebe went to Villa. James Wilson, where did he go? Back to Brighton or something? Sheffield United. The January transfer window. Now, I think the January transfer window...
That was a great result, that Sanchez did.
Yeah, so do I.
Effectively free. I mean, I know you got rid of Mkhitaryan.
Pardon?
Well,
are you sure it was free, or was it more than the world debt?
Well, I mean, you know what I mean. I thought that was a really good deal, but I don't know what's happened to Sanchez. I mean, you go through his figures from Arsenal, because I did do it at the time, and he until this season when he obviously fell out with him a little bit, he scored a lot of goals for Arsenal. I think he scored 3 in 18 since he signed for United, which is pretty, bang average, really.
I think we'll see more from Sanchez next season.
Well, that's what Mourinho keeps on saying, and I'd like to think so as well, because he is obviously good, but it's just like, why did that?
And what I liked about that signing was it kind of took the pressure off this summer window coming up, because we've kind of got one extra player in already. Do you think the loss of Mkhitaryan imbalanced the side of it? Because we had someone to play on that right wing.
Because I was never convinced. It's like Luke Shaw. People keep on saying, Luke Shaw's never had a chance. For me, he has had enough chances, and it's never happened. So Mkhitaryan, for me...
He's better than Young.
Eh?
Luke Shaw's better than Young.
Well, he is, but he's not. He shouldn't be
I
playing
went through
left-back
all
for
of the
United.
4-0 FC games. It was all Mkhitaryan. It's an unpopular opinion, but Jose didn't like how he fits into the squad. Then he didn't think his personality was fitting into the squad.
He bought him.
But he was. You can't scout a personality.
Doesn't
can
mean he
you?
likes him
Of course you can.
just because he
A
bought
little
him.
bit.
Doesn't mean he did any research, does he, Jamie?
You don't know what someone's going to be like with that squad until you put them in that squad, do you? I mean, you can scout what they're like as a player, but I
It
don't
was a
know.
very odd sign, because he didn't play him at first, did he?
No,
He played him
well,
and dropped him
that
for about
derby
3
game,
months.
yeah.
He was like, he's not ready.
Yeah. And then
Did it
he
with
fell out with
Lindelof
him
this
and
year,
got rid of
though?
him.
Why start Lindelof and then not put him in?
I think Lindelof has improved.
No, I
but then it's
Lindelof.
like when
I
he
think he's
plays well, he
alright,
gets dropped again. It's
I
like,
just said he's like Mkhitaryan. Never,
I think Lindelof had a lot of clangers in him as a defensive defender, but he was very good on the ball. And I think he's probably been learning that aspect of the game, and he probably needed that. But
he
I
used
think
to have a
he's still.
skinhead, he was better then.
Everyone is.
He's
All right,
got a bit
slaphead
foppish.
FC.
that's what I say about you, Jamie.
Right,
as
EJ,
well.
I was about to say.
One thing I know Chris is telling me to move on. One thing I want to ask
kill
though,
it.
a lot of people say the signing of Alexis Sanchez was where United dipped.
Yeah, me.
Do you agree?
Yeah, it's me saying it.
Well, but a lot of people say, not just you.
He's a lot of person.
Yeah, I'm a lot of guy.
I said that, but chair would have been flipped. Go on.
I just think we had a somewhat going on, like I said earlier, with Marshall and Rashford on that left-hand side. And the left-hand side wasn't a problem in the team. If you lose Mkhitaryan, you probably do need to add balance on the right. And I think Willian's probably going to be the guy that he goes to for that. But I don't understand why he hasn't tried Sanchez more on that side. Keeps him out of Pogba's zone. It gives us that balance. It still means you can have the direct sort of style of player that you've got in there. But I think Jesse Lingard gave him some problems. Jesse Lingard gave him selection problems because he come in and he's been great. He added end products to the graft that he always had. And I think he's made himself not undroppable, because clearly anyone can get dropped under Mourinho. But he's made a problem. And that problem's been like, you've got Mata, you've got Lingard, you've got a lot of players without an obvious first choice. And to me, Sanchez is the first choice, but I don't know if that's the correct answer or not. He is the first choice under Jose, but I think there's others that have arguably been as good or better.
Do you think the Sanchez and Mickey move was a move that saw United get worse in the season?
No, I don't necessarily think that. I get where you're coming from, but I think some of our best results came when Sanchez was
I'm not
there.
suggesting it was.
You know,
I'm
I
just
think Spurs, City,
asking questions.
Liverpool. I think, he hasn't been as good. I think, going back to Jamie's earlier point, the reason he was so good at Arsenal is because he was surrounded by garbage. Whereas at United, you've got some
Surrounded by
genuinely...
God.
Well, no, I don't think that. I think I rate Lingard, I rate Lukaku, I rate Rashford, I rate Martial. I think we've got some amazing attacking players. And I think the problem is he's come to United and all this expectation. There was so much of a media storm and all the rest of it about him buying, like you said, the wages with the national debt. And I think the problem started before Sanchez came. You mentioned earlier about how the sort of wheels came off a little bit in October. So I don't think it's Sanchez's fault. I think he's just become a focal point for a lot of criticism because of all the sort of the fact that City wanted him, so they're revelling in it, the wages he's on and all the rest of it, and the fact he's not been able to recreate his Arsenal form. But I think you're right. I think he'll,
In the interview for the programme, the cup final, sorry to interrupt.
No, go on.
I don't know if you read it. He said that I've struggled a little bit to adapt to the style. So you tell me, is that because...
Style?
Well,
What style?
You know, that's coming from Arsenal. We were a bit of a running joke, aren't they? So I don't know whether you can only think... it's down to Mourinho again.
It's why he seems to enjoy playing with the likes of Lingard, who pass and move a lot. And it's like when I see him and Lingard together, apart from the fact they always confuse them when they're on the pitch and I'm in tier 2. But they seem to thrive off playing with each other compared to other players on the pitch where I see. But one thing with Sanchez, he always comes through the middle. And we left very.
Well, I thought
Look how good he is when he
stays
stays long.
You know what I mean?
When he stays long and you can get him in behind, I think he's absolutely fantastic. When he comes short, he's annoying. And he loses the ball then.
So after we cruised through the 3 rounds in the FA Cup and drew against Sevilla in the away leg, which at the time, I know you guys saying 1-1 may have been better, but at the time I didn't think it was that bad of a result because it just meant beat them at home, you go through. We managed to come back from 2 goals down against Palace, amazing away day. Then we beat Liverpool. We're all bouncing into that Sevilla game. Fellaini and Matic start in midfield. United lose at home against a Sevilla side that didn't go on to win any of their next 10 games, something like that. It was the last game Montella won before he got sacked. There's so many stats I could chuck out at you. We never had a shot on target in 2 games. That may be a lie.
It's what it was, wasn't it? It might have been that was Piraeus under Moyes, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that was. Yeah, you're right.
Olympiacos.
Yeah, I was at that.
Say Olympiacos, then check him out.
Now that's the one thing I can't defend or stick up for Mourinho with, and I quite like Mourinho, but I think that Sevilla result over the 2 legs, especially as you mentioned, the momentum that we got from Palace and Liverpool when you thought, we can just
tactical
go at him and just
masterclass against Klopp.
Yeah.
Tactical disaster class.
Yeah, it was pretty shocking. And then you dropping Pogba, bringing him on later on, that didn't work. And they got them 2 quick goals, and it sort of took that for us to get going. And we, I saw someone said somewhere we played 20 minutes of 180 minutes. That was all we did. We played on the last 20 minutes. We scored straight away. It just wasn't, it wasn't good enough at all. And that was shocking. And
move on.
No, we can't move on because that is a big part of our season. Because after that, I was going to games just thinking.
It's mad doing it because no one expected us to win it, and Jose's made the point, hasn't he? Well, we probably wasn't going to win it anyway, and everyone's lost their. He said it.
Yeah, but
he's not wrong. But it's the attitude.
Say that. And him of all managers, he shouldn't say that because he won it at Porto. He won it at Inter. No one thought he was going to win it.
Liverpool and Roma were in the last 4.
It's a cup competition,
exactly.
And
to say, we're not going to win it anyway is crackers.
Yeah, it's the attitude.
Do you think Jose Mourinho lets his personal battles with players, do you think he puts his conflicts above the betterment of the team? Pogba starting for Manchester United that day was for the best of the team, but Jose Mourinho went to make a statement and put Fellaini in. Did that cost the team?
Do you know what? When you use that example and in that context, it comes across as it because I'm thinking, why didn't he just pick Pogba? I mean, you've got to pick Pogba.
Why didn't he play Daley Blind? Because he hates everyone who Louis van Gaal signed. He's getting rid of all of them.
I don't know, man. And part of me just thinks that Jose Mourinho wants to win and will pick the team he thinks will get him a win. I do, and I know what you mean about this.
No,
let's not forget, he falls out with everyone.
But
so if he wasn't to pick any players he fall out with, probably had no one to start.
Matic and Fellaini at home.
But I think he might have done that because he thought, this is the tactics I need to get a result.
But he didn't
Pogba's
change
a bit
it
off the boil, sorry. This is what's going to... I don't agree with it necessarily. It obviously didn't work, but that's why I think he did it.
Anything else anyone wants to add before we move on?
Just about this falling out with the players thing, I think he does this sometimes because they're millionaires and it's actually like a last resort to actually call them out in public. And you don't really get other managers doing that. And I think he actually uses that as a tool. So I'm sort of backing up what you're saying there about just trying to do I think he just wants to win. I think he was fuming on Saturday that they'd lost to Conte, even though he kept it down. So I think he uses that as a tool. And if you look at it that way, maybe it's quite brave of him because he is going out on a limb, sort of calling out, say like Lukaku, who's obviously done really well for him. But I think he just thinks he has. Because he was asked about a player this season about this, it was about a group of players. I can't remember what the game was, but the question was, are you worried that having said this, you're going to lose these players? He says, yeah, I am worried, but what else can I say? So, I think fair play to him for doing that because, as I said, I'm not sure Guardiola, unless it's like a Yaya Toure, who, they don't get on, he's past it. I don't think another top manager would do that. And I think that's because of who he is, his pedigree, his track record. He's got the confidence to do it. So, that's quite a courageous thing.
Fair enough. April. Got some nerves.
No, because May's coming.
Oh, yeah.
It ended proper shit.
I'm going to say we beat City 3-2, coming back from 2-0 down. Paul Pogba, Alexis Sanchez is probably their highlights of the season. I thought second half performance was outstanding. First half performance was disgusting.
Showed a lot of
Probably
fight. It's good.
epitomises the two sides of Manchester United that we have seen under Jose Mourinho. Now, that day, has that shown to you? Is that day for me really frustrated me because it showed us how good we can be, and when we go for things.
We beat every team in the league. Top and bottom, we beat every team in the league.
So what did that result do to you inside as a fan? Because we knew we weren't winning the league.
Well, I'm glad they didn't win the league against us because the muppetry would be on absolute overdrive, wouldn't it? Bananas, inflatable moon chesters, Kangol, moustaches everywhere, photoshopping extra fans into pictures all over the gaff. Just
Stamp your feet from Man City.
Drinking water in a pub, fucking watching you.
You can't underestimate it, can you, what that meant to not have them in front of us? Because we never would have heard the end of it. It's bad enough the 100 points and all that.
But was that a bittersweet victory because of the fact we rarely see that United?
Well, I go back to my earlier point. It does sort of, yes, it's frustrating because you think this is what we're capable of, but then you think the tools are there. We can do this with the right tweaking, with the right signings. We've got a team that can beat anyone, and we didn't just, we didn't go out and get a stuffy one goal. It was we went at City and got 3 goals. Pogba was immense. You know what I mean? That's the sort of performance we want to see from him more often.
Graham Souness went home and twatted his missus after that game.
He would have been fuming about that. Because
allegedly.
That was the sort of thing he hates because he doesn't really like Paul Pogba, does he? But yeah, this is why I think you look at it and you think this is what we can do, so we just need to do it more often. So yeah, it was a great result. It was great to see them so deflated after they thought they'd won the league in front of us.
And they had to pack up their fireworks. Jamie, around that time, Jose and Raiola and they were talking about him being offered to City and stuff. Yeah. What did you hear in the press? Well, behind the scenes.
Just that it definitely did happen. That he was
Raiola offered him City.
Yeah. Maybe not directly from Raiola, but there was that definitely did happen. Guardiola can't stand Raiola, so it was never going to happen. But it was interesting because again he got asked. It might have been me after the derby actually.
It might have been me.
Might have been me staring.
Jamie and his big old spoon.
Because by then Raiola had denied it, so I said, effectively, who's telling the truth? Guardiola, Raiola, and he just sort of laughed it off and said, he didn't want to go into it. It was a bit of an interesting move from Guardiola to let that out, because that's a sort of unwritten rule, isn't it? This, the transfer skullduggery, if you want to call it, chicanery between clubs. They don't really like to sort of, as they would call it, on each other's doorstep. Do you know what I mean? By revealing this stuff, because everyone's sort of kind of at it all the time in some way. So it was interesting he did that. But he'd be a good player for City, Pogba, I'd suggest.
Do you think
he'd be a good player for Man United, to be honest?
Isn't that agent driven though, rather than like Woodward getting on the phone going, just give City a bell, see if they fancy signing Pogba?
Well, he's probably player driven. He's probably told Raiola, I'm not particularly happy because there are problems. I don't think Raiola's done that behind Pogba's back. I'd be surprised.
Are those things sometimes done to just like say, I don't really want to go there, but I'm just sending a shot out to people in the board and stuff like that?
Possibly.
And then could it be maybe a concern for United fans that some of our biggest players are involved in
if he could replace him with a player who is as good, he would do. I think he would.
I would
get rid
not
of
be
him, but he
shocked
can't.
to wake up this summer and see that United have sold Pogba.
I don't think it will happen because of what I'm saying. But I think he's ambivalent about it, Mourinho. If you could get someone else in who's as good, or is potentially as good.
If that was to happen, I'm not gonna lie, I know who I'd rather see leave. Right, so after beating City, we managed to do proper post-Fergie Man United stuff and go and lose against West Bromwich Albion to allow City to become champions. We do end that month with a bit of positivity by the news we've got another cup final coming up. But after wrapping up second spot, we managed to hand the cup to Conte, and it was a bad day for everyone involved in Manchester United that day. And I love the FA Cup, so I was really gutted about it. Second place, no silverware then. How's that for a season?
Either. No, you got to look for silverware. I'm not into this top fours of trophies. It's not at all, is it? And I'm sure we'd all rather win a trophy than just get top four, especially if you're not going to do anything when you're in the Champions League anyway. But yes.
Would you consider then last season better than this season?
Definitely. 100%.
Feels better.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in Stockholm.
Stockholm was an amazing night, especially after what had gone on. That was probably one of the most emotional games I've ever been at. To win 2 trophies, to sort of announce that United were back in a certain way in Europe was great. To make the Champions League, to get everything that you sort of wanted. Obviously, you want to win the title, but within reason. That was great. This season, winning the FA Cup would have been immense, and it's, yes, we finished second, but because it's such a distant second, it does feel a little bit underwhelming.
Are Manchester United a better team? No.
We are a better team. I think we've proved that by the fact that we've beaten everybody this season.
Is the difference enough for you of improvement? If you
No,
take last into the season?
it's not enough, because like Jay, I wouldn't rather take a trophy over getting that top four, because I think top four's vital for us. That's the absolute bare minimum expectation. But I also want to see trophies, and I think whether it was a League Cup or an FA Cup along with second place this season, that would have been acceptable. Whereas I think just coming inside the top four, you can say, oh, it was second, or it was third, or it was fourth. We've just come in the top four. That's ultimately all we've done, is secured a qualification for next season.
Now, I would have wanted to win the FA Cup, obviously. Everyone would have. But would it have not been glassing over a poor season?
Yeah, it would have been, because this is Manchester United, and the expectation is you compete for the title and you compete for the Champions League. We did neither. So it wouldn't have been a great season, but it's an acceptable season. It's not black and white. It isn't, that was great, that was shit. There's shades of grey, and it would have been a grey season. If we'd have got the FA Cup and we'd have got second place, we go, there's progress. We've continued a bit more of a tradition of winning, which this group somehow has actually got. It's picked up a few trophies on the way recently. We'd have picked up another trophy and you'd have gone, this has been a decent season. We know the areas, maybe, that we need to address for next season. Let's go after it. But the way it's ended, the way City have absolutely moonwalked it, the way we just failed to turn up on the biggest stage. This is the minimum expectation from Jose Mourinho. You give him time to prepare against so many proper eights and he's going to get the job done. And we didn't do that. And we give no youth debuts as well.
Are United better?
Yeah, you know what? I'm leaning more and more as I think about this towards it being a positive, not very successful season. If that makes sense, because beating all the proper sides, which you've done, getting over 80 points. I know you're saying it's a top four finish, but 81 points for me is respectable. I'm not saying it's brilliant, right? Don't get me wrong. So I think if I was a United fan, which I'm not, I'd be thinking, okay, let's give him the summer, get these fullbacks in, get whatever else he's going to get, a really decent, brilliant centre midfielder if he can. And let's see what happens, because it just, the way you beat City, the way you beat Spurs, Liverpool, Chelsea, all of them, that to me is probably more than winning the FA Cup. I would take that as a sign that, as I think you said, Jay, United have it in them to do it. But he's got to weed out what he thinks are these mentally weak players. Players like Smalling, the fullbacks who maybe aren't mentally weak because Valencia's been around a bit.
James Smalling played in all but 3 games this year.
90
minutes as well.
All but 3. Is it
Everton, the cup games. I've checked this out because I've been fuming about it. And in another one.
I reckon he's going now. As mad as that
I
is.
think I know he also started the Europa League
It's like
final.
what I said with Bailey and with Pogba, Jose having these battles to the detriment of... what's your favourite moment of this season?
My favourite moment of this season is probably Marcus Rashford against the Scousers, for me.
He's done it. He's completed it now. As a Manchester United boyhood fan, scoring all those goals against different teams at the Etihad, against Liverpool. He's done it all, hasn't he?
I think going into that game, there was a lot of negativity around, and the fact that he hadn't played a lot of football, had he recently, Marcus Rashford. He came back into the side, and everyone was thinking, "Oh, this could be the Mo Salah show." Especially when we saw that Ashley Young was up against him, and for him to score not just once but twice as well. I mean, very nearly got that third with a matter.
Are you happy with
Rashford's
Rashford's season?
Not really, no.
Why?
I think. Well, because we know what he's capable of. For me, Rashford is capable to reach the very, very top level. And
I'm not so sure now, but anyway.
Yeah, I know. Well, this is the thing now, it's open to debate more than it was when he first came onto the scene. I think he's had some bad games this season. People don't like to say that, but
the FA Cup final was the worst I've seen him play.
And Watford, we got a goal, but he didn't have a particularly good game.
I felt sorry for him in the final
a little bit,
because I felt like we played like we had Lukaku up front, but we had Rashford up front.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, you have to play to his strengths.
To be honest with you, it sounds crackers.
yeah.
I wouldn't have took him off. I wouldn't have took it. I thought it was mad when we took him and Lingard off.
I didn't mind Rashford going off. I was more surprised at Lingard going off.
He was just sort of getting going, and then he did that, and it took our momentum away, and Lukaku obviously wasn't fit.
Standing there going,
he shouldn't have played, sorry.
We're scoring in a minute.
Yeah.
Right, we're scoring in a minute. We're going to score in a minute. The next minute we're going to score.
Yeah, we never scored, so that's obviously not your favourite moment. What is your favourite moment?
Interviewing Cantona.
Oh, hello.
We did that, didn't we? We did that.
Football can off.
Cantona's coming
Can
back
I give you my
soon.
favourite moment? Very quickly.
Yeah, you can.
When Mourinho started to sort of say, oh, there's no problem between me and Conte, and then he said, but one right at the end of this minute and a half, very nice diplomatic speech, but I would never been involved in anything to do with match fixing. I just sat there on the front row in the press room.
Did you do this?
I was trying not to.
We like that. We like that.
Did you write it down quick enough?
It was absolute belter.
There's my headline sorted.
Proper
Thank you. There's the
High five,
there's the
Manuel.
back
Yeah.
page sorted for tomorrow.
See, that's what I love about Mourinho.
Same here, and
The
there should be more of
bastardry.
that. Yes, yeah.
Like going for
Yes,
people. Like
yes.
I want him to be more of a bastard with other people than his own
That's a good
bloody
point,
players.
that's a good
And
point,
fans.
Yeah.
that is.
My favourite moment of the season. I'm just gonna try. I know you never. No one asked me, but
You said Cantona, didn't you? You two.
yeah, but he
High-fiving
said
each
that.
other. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Paul Pogba, his performance at the Etihad, delivering that performance, copying his ears to
Yeah.
the fans, saying them don't worry and all that. Like I love
With
that.
blue hair.
Yeah.
Scoring with his hair.
And he definitely left that blue to piss Jose off
Yeah.
or something like that.
Knows what he's doing.
Right, we're going to look forward now. We're looking towards the transfer window, the summer transfer window. We know Manchester United are always going to be linked with hundreds of names. We're going to be linked with billions of pounds worth of transfers through the papers.
That's the press for you.
I'm watching you.
And we're talking about who's in, who's out. Now this is normally where Jamie Jackson shines. So we're going to come to Jamie first now, but I want to let you guys know is, last summer Jamie said, Jose is obsessed with Lukaku and Griezmann. At that time it seemed like we were getting Morata. So I was there thinking, what the fuck's Jamie doing? But we got Lukaku. We didn't get Griezmann, but we obviously wanted him. Jamie, you got any nuggets for us this season?
Only a sort of non-nugget, which is they're after Neymar, but I don't think PSG are going to sell. But that's one to keep an eye on because they
Is
are,
that one
they
of
are-
Ed Woodward's wet dreams, is it?
No, I think there is some proper traction in it from United. It nearly, there was a bit of interest a couple of seasons ago, and I think he might want to leave PSG. But from what I'm told from his side, Neymar's side, the club PSG aren't going to sell. Like 100%, because I also asked the question, what about Real Madrid? It was like, no, they don't want to sell. So let's wait and see what happens. But imagine what you could do in your team, Neymar.
Hey, fullback.
Imagine Neymar and
Goalkeeper.
Ashley Young and Tony Valencia together.
It's like
That'd be
people keep
amazing.
saying, didn't Jose Mourinho come out in a press conference the other
joking.
week and say, I don't want to see flicks and tricks and all this, and I'm thinking, being linked with
And then
Neymar.
Neymar standing there with the
Jose
number
might
11.
might lose the plot in it if Neymar starts doing all that.
That's when Woodward rings up, "Oh, guess what I've got for you?" And he's like, "What?" He goes, "I've signed your Neymar." And he goes, "For f***ing sake."
I've spent your whole summer budget on Neymar. Woo!
He's like, "Do I get any fullbacks?" No,
Can Neymar play fullback?
probably.
He might do
Could
one or
actually,
two
probably
step
could
overs.
do all right.
He might beat a man. That would be all right, wouldn't it? So what about you say that yourself, that's an unlikely one. What serious?
Well, Alderweireld, Willian. They're interested in this Ajax kid. Well, he's 19-year-old Kluivert's son, Justin. The fullbacks, don't know. Sandro, Danny Rose is supposedly faded a bit. Sessegnon's an interesting one because there's definitely interest there, but I mean, I haven't 100% checked this part of it out, but apparently he wants to stay south, which I don't know if United come calling for you properly. I'd be surprised. He's the signing I think would be most interesting because what would Jose do with basically another sort of Luke Shaw, who's a sort of left back, teenager, next big thing? And I know Shaw was injured and all the rest of it, but he's Fulham's top scorer, which is interesting.
Wouldn't it be
left
wise
back,
for any
you know.
team that buys him to kind of leave him at Fulham if they get in the Premier League?
I never agree with that. I mean, if you're going to buy someone,
We need
Bring
him as
him in,
well,
I don't
don't
know.
we? We need him. If we bought him, we'd need him, wouldn't we?
I mean, really, what he wants is right back. He wants someone like a Kyle Walker.
Is there any chance for Fosu Mets coming back into the mix?
Yeah, there might be a chance. I don't know how you'd read it, but I was a bit surprised if you really fancied him and let him go out on loan this year to Palace, isn't it? I think there's a chance.
Prove himself as a pro, isn't he?
Yeah.
Play regular football. Can he handle it?
Yeah. I've always liked the look of him.
He looks like I criticise Jose for his treatment of younger players, particularly the attacking ones. But with someone like Fosu Mensah or Twanzebe, I can see him doing well with them, like he was with Varane.
Yeah.
And I think it's easier for defensive players, especially the younger ones, to come through in a Jose Mourinho system because it's easier for them to thrive
The really interesting position, maybe, or the one I think he's got a problem, is central midfield, because he needs two, I think. And
Especially we hear Fellaini's leaving.
well, that's what I mean. That's how I'm including. You know, I mean, even if he doesn't leave, you'd say two. But
He doesn't need any midfielders. He's got the Jose Mourinho Player of the Year there, Scott McTominay.
That was an odd award, wasn't it?
That was yeah. Suddenly decided.
Do you all know what it is yet?
Half an hour before the award starts, I think he decided on that one, didn't he?
Apparently, the vase was brought in from some shop round the corner or something like that.
No, it was one of the offices inside.
Yeah,
Was it?
Yeah.
Well,
Just had to
says it
grip
all,
it.
doesn't it?
But how's he going to do that? How's he going to bring in two top class? It's difficult, isn't it? You know, it's very difficult.
Swap deal.
You can
with
make a
Fellaini,
case he
probably.
needs half the team, as in 6 new players who should go straight into the team. If you put it that way, how are United going to catch not just City but whoever else? I mean, I don't want to be negative now.
I know there's always seems to be a massive gap.
Yeah.
But I always feel like 1 or 2 players improve and you get 1 or 2 good signings. And because when you look at where we lost that ground, like we mentioned those 6 points against Leicester, Southampton, Burnley.
When we talked to Herrera before the final, he made a good point. He said, partly I thought it was a good point. He said, he didn't think City are going to win so many late games. And he reeled them off as about 4 or 5. But didn't United always used to do that under Fergie, or was that over-egged a bit? So what I'm trying to say is maybe that's going to become a habit with City. But it sounded to me as if Mourinho had been saying that to them. You know, look, this has happened this year. That's never going to happen again.
Late and they beat
You can go through Southampton, Huddersfield, maybe Brighton.
When I moan about Jose, overall I think he's done a very good job. And I think we are a couple of signings away from being a very, very good team. But the thing that worries me is the problems seem to be with players that we shouldn't have problems with.
Yeah,
and further back, when you go back, you think that's where if we fix our defence and our midfield, we should be fine. But it doesn't seem to be that way at the It seems to be like we want to fix our midfield and we want to get rid of Pogba and we want to do this and that, and it's like we're moving backwards and it doesn't make sense to me. But I think overall he has done a very good job in changing the mentality of the club. One, because we're going to games expecting to win now. Even if we're expecting to be bored by it, we are expecting to win. And I think that's one thing, we have got that winning mentality back.
Yeah, I suppose it's easy to forget. Maybe,
that's one of the best home
maybe for a
runs,
non-fan like me, but how hilarious, if you don't mind me saying it, was under Hunt Moyes. I mean, that was just like a disaster. You know,
it wasn't hilarious, James.
Well, okay, it was for me. Covering it. But you know what I mean? Those days of...
You wrote a book on the back of it, didn't you?
So, you know, think about... I'm backing up your point. Look at where you are now compared to that. You know,
and we had a very good home run. I don't think we lost. I think City beat us either side of 50 games or something like that. It's like...
See, even yours starting to sound optimistic.
That was
a bit therapeutic, this chat, hasn't it?
No, it's like, I don't want Mourinho out, but it's like, I just want you to fix up and don't mess with my boys. Do you know what I mean? Don't mess with Pogba, Rashford, Marshall. What are you doing?
Marshall's gone, mate.
He is gone.
Come on.
And you know what? If I was Marshall, I'd go as well. I said it 5 years ago.
Do you know the one who upsets me the most?
Before he joined?
Marshall joined?
No, I said it 5 years ago. Mourinho ain't the guy for young attacking talents. And I'm saying it now.
You know.
If I was Marshall, I'd leave. But if I was Marshall as well, I'd fight for your place. Anyway, if you could sign one player in the summer, who would it be?
I'm a big fan of Alderweireld. I think he could transform our defence. I think that'd be a real good signing for us.
I'd sign Anthony Marshall. Who are you signing?
I'd sign left back, and I'd like to see FullTimeDEVILS come back into the side, and maybe someone like you say, Alexandro or someone like that, or maybe Sessegnon. I think we just need some attacking fullbacks that are the right side of 30.
If you had to make one prediction that you're sure is going to come through, or you were, if you had to say one player that you're most likely is going to sign for United this summer, who would it be?
I think Alderweireld's in the balance. I think Sandro, possibly Fred, the guy at Shakhtar.
That's his Brazilian name ever.
Well, I'll go Sandro then if you just need one. If I could sign any player, you're being realistic, because I'd go De Bruyne, but you mean someone you see United could actually get?
Yeah.
Okay then, Vinnie Jones.
Has it got that bad?
Just joking, lads. Don't take it out on me.
I think there's a few we're going to sign. I wouldn't be shocked to see Alderweireld. I wouldn't be shocked to see Sessegnon and Sandro. I wouldn't be shocked to see Savic. So I've not heard anything on Fred, but it sounds like they're pretty close on Fred. And definitely Willian.
If we're going to allow Jose to ruin Marshall and Rashford, then don't buy him more young players to ruin, please. Makes sense, doesn't it? Anyway, United have finished second. We are the second best team in England at the moment. not the 6. So I suppose that's an improvement. Guys, this has been Full-Time Devils season review of 2017-18. Thank you very much to Jamie from
Thank
the
you.
Guardian, Jamie Jackson for joining us. Thank you to Jay from Red Army Bet. Thank you to this chat for joining us as well. What's your name again?
Dave.
Dave, that's the one. Statman Dave. Anyway, guys, make sure you keep watching Full-Time Devils. We'll have you covered throughout the summer. So we've got tomorrow's transfers today, every single weekday at 11 p.m. UK time, I believe. We've also got US preseason tour stuff coming up. Plenty more stuff as well.
Mate, we're going to cover the World Cup and we're going to be part-time Lions in the summer. How about that?
I am. I like the Nigeria shirt. I might sport them. Anyway, guys, that's us. We're out of here.